So in the previous video, I told you guys that I have for a while now been seeking God on this issue of marriage. I've been roaming through the Bible, trying to find examples of godly women who have lived their lives in a certain way that sort of propelled them into an area where they wanted to go. And a book in the Bible that I had never read before. I didn't even know this was a book until I did the study on it. Father, forgive me. I am not a Bible scholar. I'm just a human being who is trying to use the word of the Lord and make it applicable to my situation. So please spare me the judgment. Anyway, the book of Esther. Awesome book. It's short, it's sweet, it's awesome. What I find fascinating about that book in the Bible is that throughout the entire book, there wasn't a mention of God. God didn't make himself so present in that book. He was sort of in the background, in the shadows. And I thought it was interesting that that was included in the Bible, even though the Lord wasn't a prominent part of that story. But anyway, the book of Esther is what I'm going to be using during this journey as sort of a guide. I thought that her story was so sweet and so beautiful. Her strength was commendable. I thought it was awesome. And if you don't know the story of Esther, I'll try and give you a short synopsis on at least what I know to be the story of Esther. Mind you, like I said, I'm no Bible scholar. But basically, Esther lived in a village. I believe she was the niece of Mordecai, I think his name was. Father, forgive me, this might be all messed up, but this is the best that I can do with the time that I have. I did this Bible study on this book a while ago. I made notes in my Bible, but I haven't prepped for this video. This is sort of just a test run. But anyway, so during that time, there was a king. His name was King Ahasuerus, I believe is how you pronounce it. And at the time, he was married to Queen Vashti. Now, the previous me, the prior me, the old me would relate way more with Queen Vashti than I would Esther. But the me that I endeavor to be, a woman of wisdom, a woman of great character, I endeavor to be more like Esther than Vashti. But in my past life, I was a Vashti all the way. So Queen Ahasuerus, I believe that was his name. He was having a banquet, and he was the type of man who had a whole bunch of women. Can you imagine a man with a whole lot of money, a whole bunch of women, a whole bunch of rich friends? This man had everything he could ever want. And he was used to always getting his way. If he reminds you of a man in your life, I guess good for you. Or not. I'm not really sure. Anyway, so he was having this party, and the party lasted like weeks or a week. I'm not really sure. But he beckoned, he called for his queen to come so he could parade her in front of his friends. So he sent for her to put on her royal robes and for Vashti to come and parade herself in front of all of his friends because she was so beautiful and he wanted everyone to see her. I feel like there's a ring on the camera for my glasses. So I think I saw that in the last video. So I think I'm just going to take that off. Anyway, so he called her and she flat out refused to go. She wasn't having none of it. I guess she was sick and tired of having him call her out, have her get all dressed up just to walk around his friends and have them, slobbering all over her. I guess she was tired of having all that. So she didn't go out. She wasn't having it. And I think that she made a crucial mistake, which I believe a lot of us as women, at least I know I have, made in the past. She embarrassed her king. Not only did she embarrass him, but she embarrassed him in the presence of his friends. This is the first lesson that I learned while doing my Bible study on Esther. When it comes to men in general and your husband, I was going to say man, but I'm hoping we will shoot higher, not just for a man, but for a husband. So respect is a huge thing when it comes to men. They don't play when it comes to that. I've learned that lesson the hard way more than once. It's taken me a while for it to stick, but it finally has. And I do understand that men and respect is a huge thing. The Bible says, husband, love your wives, and wives, submit to your husbands and respect them. It calls for us to respect the men in our lives, and they are to love us. So, yeah, that's the first lesson that I learned. This queen did not do that. Not only did she embarrass her king, but she embarrassed him in the presence of his friends. And the consequences for that action, her actions, were extravagant. They were enormous. They were extremely harsh. But it just goes to show you how valuable respect is to a man. Because that king asked his advisors. And if the king in your life has advisors, aka friends, trust and believe that topic of respect is something that they're going to take in extremely high regard. He asked his advisors, King Asarius asked his advisors what he should do about this queen and her disrespect. And they advised him to put her away. I mean, like, divorce her, leave her, and find another queen, all because she refused to show herself in his presence.